Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard. I want to talk to you today about 10 really important tips to help support your gallbladder, particularly folks who have had their gallbladder taken out, and also those folks who have had the gallbladder taken out who still don't feel like they're functioning quite well in the ability to digest fat department, and those folks who just generally have some sluggish gallbladder function. What does that mean? Sluggish gallbladder function means that when you get a little pain under the right side of your rib cage, when you eat fatty food, you feel sick, it just sits there like a rock, can cause heartburn, nausea, bloating, gas, burping, constipation. All of these things can be related to gallbladder function. 700,000 gallbladder removal surgeries are done every single year. That's an epidemic number, growing rapidly. I've talked a lot about why people are taking their gallbladders out more routinely. More than 10% of those folks don't really feel that great after they take the gallbladder out. And there are some procedures that I write about in the article associated with this video that don't really work that well, and doctors are even reluctant to use those procedures to help sort of open up the bile ducts, because your liver will still make bile after the gallbladder is removed. The gallbladder, remember, is a sac that holds bile, concentrated bile, 15 to 20% times concentrate. So your bile in your gallbladder is concentrated 15 to 20 times to just really crazy amounts of fat. And if we don't, every once in a while, eat the brains of a woolly mammoth, we don't digest really lots of fat in our diet, then the gallbladder can get congested. There's some studies that I cite that show that the number one cause of gallbladder disease is a low-fat diet, which we were put on since 1961 when they took cholesterol out of our diet and said it was bad for us. So we're trying to reverse all of that. Well, in this discussion, I want to talk more about why do people have gallbladder trouble, and why do people, after they get their gallbladder taken out, still have gallbladder trouble? And how do we navigate life without a gallbladder or a congested gallbladder? And that's what I want to talk about today. A lot of times, when you take the gallbladder out, you then rely on the liver making bile on demand for the fats that you eat. Lots of folks, if the gallbladder is congested, it's all blocked up, the tubes are congested, you can't get the bile where it needs to go, so you take the gallbladder out, the congestion logjam's taken away, and you feel better. As long as you eat a reasonable amount of fat, you're in good shape. And really, in our diet, since we're not eating the brains of a woolly mammoth, it's really not that big of a deal. We can navigate around that. So don't feel like it's the worst thing in the world that you had your gallbladder taken out. We can navigate around that, which is really cool. Secondly, though, if the liver is congested, then the bile production is not as good as it should, well, then that can make you have problems as well that might not be gallbladder related. And that's why people don't get better sometimes when they get the gallbladder removed. And that's why some people have a gallbladder issue to start with. In fact, that's generally where it always starts, because the toxins in your intestinal tract, which are directly defaulted from there back to the liver. And they can congest the liver and cause, over time, liver congestion and bile flow issues. So it really starts in the liver and then becomes a gallbladder issue. So whether you feel better taking the gallbladder out or you don't, the problem still started in your liver, and that's where you want to focus. I want to talk to you about, in this article, there's 10 tips to bring that gallbladder back into balance. The first thing is turmeric. My gosh, turmeric, when you get really good absorbing turmeric, and ours is 16% times parts, rather, turmeric, 1 part black pepper. When you put it two together, science shows it increases the absorption of turmeric by 2,000%, and turmeric is off the charts phenomenal when it's absorbable. And I love using whole herbs, mixing them together, little black pepper, little turmeric, put it together, you have this incredible absorption, versus making extracts, which may work great medicinally, but long term, they're not foods anymore. We've lost the microbes, the intelligence. Somehow, it's not the same. So turmeric is great, increases the contraction of the gallbladder by 50%. Powerful, powerful thing. Another thing is fish oils. Fish oils help to reduce the oxalic acids in the body, which can be accumulated by things even like turmeric or some of the foods we eat that can congest the liver and the gallbladder and precipitate stones in the gallbladder. So fish oils are really important for that. I'm a big fan of enteric-coated fish oils, which means that first they got to be purified, molecularly distilled, really pure, no mercury, no toxins at all. But they also have to be, particularly with gallbladder issues, you don't want to have to break them down with your gallbladder. You want those already purified, pre-digested oils to go into your intestinal tract, into your blood, to your skin, to your brain, to your heart, to your hormones, and get it directly there, because it's lacking, those tissues are lacking those good fats because we haven't been breaking down those fats for a very long time. Most of us, as a result of gallbladder issues, sort of avoid fats and become a little fatty deficient. So that's an issue, and that's why fish oils are really good. I love the naturally enteric coated ones that we use here at LifeSpa, very important. It's called Mega Omega. Beets, a beet a day is so healthy and so good for you. It beats lower blood sugar, believe it or not. They have nitrates, good nitrates, vegetable nitrates that actually vasodilate the bile ducts and increase blood circulation and bile flow. And perfusion of the blood into deep tissues. They're good lymphatic movers. I can go on and on about beets, but a beet a day is great for that. Hydration, water is critically important for the hydration of the stomach lining, which is 95% water. The buffer for the acids is 95% water, so that's really important. If you don't have good acid buffer, you won't make good acid, and if you don't make good acid, you won't make good bile. So to motivate your body to make liver to make bile, you got to have good water and a good hydrated stomach lining. So I'm a big fan of like a big glass of water, 20 to 30 minutes before the meal. There's good science behind that for weight loss and things like that. I've written about that. It's pretty cool. Ghee, clarified butter. You know, putting the good fats in, really important. Ghee forces the gallbladder to contract. It feeds the good microbes in your intestinal tract to make more ghee. There's Clostridium butyricum, literally makes butyric acid, the major ingredient in ghee for a living in your intestinal tract. It's such a cool thing. So ghee is very, very important. When you're doing our cleanses, lots of folks without a gallbladder wonder what I should do, or with gallbladder issues. It's really the same adjustment. Take a little bit of ghee, 2 teaspoons of ghee on the first days of our cleanses. And if you feel good, increase it a little bit, whether you have a gallbladder or not. It depends on how much bile you're making on demand or how congested your gallbladder is. But you can play with your dose a little bit. You can do our ghee cleanses for sure when you don't have a gallbladder. You just got to watch your ghee intake a little bit and make sure you take baby steps. Starting with 2 teaspoons is generally fine for most anyone, unless you've got some really severe issues going on, which then you should see your medical doctor for sure. Apples have malic acid that vasodilate the bile ducts. They also have a lot of apopectin, which is a fiber that takes the bile to the toilet. And bile is a Pac-Man gobbling up toxins. And when you put fiber to it and take it to the toilet, forces the liver to make brand new this week's model of bile, which is really important. Fiber in general, another piece of the puzzle, so important for your liver and your bile flow, and to take the bile and attach it to the toilet. The hunter-gatherers had 100 grams of fiber per day. We have 15 to 20. So they're at least 5 times more fiber in their diet, which attaches to 5 times more bile, takes 5 times more toxic bile to the toilet, 5 times better detoxifiers in a much less toxic world, might I add, and then therefore 5 times less toxic yuck reabsorbing back to your liver, recongesting your liver, and up to 94% of the bile can reabsorb back to your liver, taking the toxins and tow back to the liver, creating more toxicity in your liver, less bile flow, and more problems. So I know it's a lot, but sort of fascinating information when you really look at it. Lemons, a little lemon in your water, great way to actually help chelate some of the uric acid, which can also a byproduct of toxicity in your liver as well. And the last one, maybe the most important piece of the puzzle, is the intestinal skin and the lining of your stomach, the skin of your intestines and your stomach. They send signals to your gallbladder and back and forth from your gallbladder and your stomach to make bile. And if that signal isn't there, then you're not going to get good, requests or production or delivery of the bile that we need so desperately. So the intestinal skin has to be repaired and healthy, and I've written a lot about that. One of my favorite herbs for that is amalaki, neem, and brahmi are my 3 favorite herbs for that. And then a really good probiotic, a colonizing probiotic that actually sticks to the gut wall, and I've written a ton about that. If you go to and look at our probiotics, you can see more about those. And then we have one probiotic called Gut Revival, which actually knocks out the bad bugs and repopulates with colonizing versus transient probiotics. Transient probiotics are what you get mostly in the health food stores. You take them, they work great, by the way, but they go through you, and we don't get the opportunity to make permanent changes in a permanent new microbiome. The goal of everything, get on, get better, get off. Even with probiotics, I don't like the idea of us thinking we're going to take probiotics for the rest of our lives. It doesn't make any sense to me. We never did that in the history of the world. Why do we need to do it now? We don't. We need to repair the skin of the intestinal tract, create a better environment, better bile flow, also critical for your microbiology, and bring all this back into balance and repopulate with permanent colonizing probiotics, not got some bad guys, and off we go. Back to digesting well. With or without a gallbladder, we can live a long, long, healthy life. Please, this article is pretty comprehensive. Read more about all that and the research about everything I said today. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Hi, did you like this video? Do you like our content here at LifeSpa? You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/John Douillard right here and get this valuable content every week in your inbox.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at lifespa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.